AI dominance
that has created an environment where people work 24/7, for example. Accessibility to the internet
right now, and I think it's going
and
to
technological
happen.
innovation in that regard
I know.
has only increased the
covered this
burden
already.
that a singular person has in the workplace. Because and companies that are aware of this, capital owners that are aware of this, have used that to limit the number of employees, to lower the number of employees. Because now one person can do the job of 10 and in a much shorter period of time. So labor has become more productive than ever before, whereas wages have remained stagnant. Wages have not adjusted to profits. Wages have not adjusted to, not profits. Wages have not adjusted to the productivity of the average laborer. Average wages have remained low, whereas average productivity has gone up a fuck ton. So the problem is not the technological innovation itself. The problem is what capital owners use said technological innovation to do. This is the issue. And you have the likes of Sam Altman openly talking about it, saying there are cases where entire classes of jobs will go away, like all throughout history. We have these new technologies come along, and people say this is the end of work, this is the end of jobs. It turns out people seem to want unlimited stuff.
Entire classes of jobs will go away. There are entirely new classes of jobs that will come. And largely, I think this will look somewhat like most of history, in that the tools people have to use their jobs will let them do more, achieve things in new ways. What it means to be a doctor or a lawyer or a computer programmer clearly will change, but people will still need medical care and they want to talk to a human. People still need legal advice and they'll want someone that they can trust to be on their side. People will still want computers to do things for them. But the amount that one person can do, and also the amount that we expect one person out of one person, will be incredible. Like all throughout history, we have these new technologies come along and people say, this is the end of work, this is the end of jobs. It turns out people seem to want unlimited stuff.
The difference with AI is that cognitive labor is now being replicated in a way it was never before. This isn't the same old Luddite who were correct, by the way, doomer talking points. Wait, what? I know the video's quiet. I know.
Have a huge desire to express their creativity and be useful to people. And I'm still waiting for that promise from the Industrial Revolution that we only had to work 4 hours a week and got to, play on the beach and hang out with our...
We could do that. Like, that's something that is within our current, present technological... it's not limited. Like, we could technically do that. And we would have a much higher percentage of people that have well-paying jobs with decent benefits and decent compensation. The only thing that stops this is the way that profits are distributed as it stands. The limited means that the average laborer has to take control over their own lives, to take control over what they can and can't do in their own workplace. It is because of capitalism that we have not gotten to a 4-hour work week. That's it. Just like AI is also not going to lead to a 4-hour work week. It's not going to lead to that at all. Because if all of the exponential growth of technology over the course of the past couple of decades has not led to a diminished or a 4-day work week, not even a 4-hour work week, which we could literally do a 4-day work week at this point. I mean, a 4-hour work week at this point. Sorry, he said 4. I can't hear him because the video is too low. The audio is so low. Right now, as it stands, we could do far less work, far less labor, and keep productivity relatively high, as opposed to you're so out of touch of the everyday normal person. Bruh, what are you saying? Maybe you can, millionaire, 4-hour work week. Dude, you are a fucking peasant, okay? I need you to understand something. You are a fucking peasant. Yes, the argument I'm making is that if, for example, let's talk about one job that requires direct labor, menial labor, okay? Route tasks, an Amazon distribution facility worker. Okay? I'm going to use the worst possible job that should destroy my argument, right? If Amazon were to hire far more workers to accomplish the same amount of tasks instead of forcing one person to do the task and keep prices fairly high for that labor, people could absolutely work much lower hours. Okay? So yes, it is not that I am out of touch. It's that you have no capacity to dream. You have no understanding of how these things work. Yelling doesn't make you right. I'm not yelling. This is my normal tone of voice. I'm currently speaking in my own living room from my own house. You're watching me. Just think for a moment. The only reason why we don't have 4 days of work only, for example, or even something lower than that, is simply because as productivity is increased, where one person can do the work of 10 now, we have not lowered the amount of hours required, and instead, we've actually eliminated people from the workforce slowly but surely. That's it. And you don't actually recognize that, partially because obviously population keeps growing. The population keeps growing, so you don't actually fucking think that there is like less laborers overall. When I say a 4-hour work day for 4 days a week, let's say, I don't mean that you also get paid minimum wage for those 4 hours. I mean, you get paid the same because your pay structure is adjusted to your productivity, is adjusted to your output. But under capitalism, it is not adjusted to your productivity or your output, and it's entirely adjusted to how much your bosses can get away with not paying you. Okay? That's it. And by the way, this is not a value judgment. This is just how things are. When I say, under our current organization of the economy, your interest as a worker, as a wage laborer, is to work as little as possible and get the most amount of pay, right? And your boss's interests are to make you work as many hours as possible for the least amount of pay that they can get away with. That's just objective reality. That's not... Like what I'm describing here is not, there's no value judgment associated with this. I'm not saying something is moral or immoral. I'm just telling you exactly what it is, right? In the simplest ways possible. And if that incentive structure exists, if that interest structure exists for your bosses versus yourself, who do you think wins out at the end of the day? Your bosses do. They win that battle every single time. And when you expand on this principle, you realize that throughout technological innovation, throughout the exponential growth of technology, there have been a million different opportunities for you to work less hours and keep the same output, if not a higher output, because you're more productive. And yet, in that process, your bosses have decided, oh, now we can make fucking, one guy do the work of 10. So let's just fire these 9 other guys. And then the one guy that remains in that position is even more terrified of losing their job. It's that simple. And it's so much more dangerous than just labor laws. I have direct knowledge. Trump's statements against woke AI are not just about Grok. It's already being used at the FDA to select biased data from clinical trials in order to whitewash drug development and clinical trial findings. This seems small until certain populations are left behind or are more urgently harmed now. Chatter does not understand the point. What you're trying to say is that if there's 100 Amazon packages, yet there's only one person transporting them, and it takes them 8 hours to transport them. But if there's 10 people, everyone gets to go home early. Exactly. Yeah. Das Kapital Volume 1. Drive down the price of labor, increase proportion of labor time that goes to the employer, drive up the rate of exploitation. Surplus labor value increases. Surplus labor value that you can farm off of an individual laborer increases. And that is what Marxists would call exploitation. That is what a capitalist would call profit. Once again, no value judgment associated with this at all. This is just simply what is going on. It is just descriptive, okay? That's all this is. Now, the reason why a lot of people actually feel a sense of repulsion when they hear this and assume immediately that you're being woke or gay or Marxist or whatever the fuck, and all of the other negative values associated with that is because they also understand that this is an unfair process. But they're too afraid. They recognize that it's an unfair process. Because they recognize there's still a nugget of class consciousness within every single person. So they realize like, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting fucked over. And in that moment, you have two options. You either lean into this and you investigate further, or you shut it out. You shut your mind off to this reality and try to think of reasons as to why the person telling you this reality is actually in the wrong, and that the system might be not the best for you, but ultimately the alternatives are far scarier. That's it. That's it. And AI will destroy this. AI will destroy what remains of the existing labor force. It will make things much worse. And I'm not the only one who has recognized this reality. I mean, think about Andrew Yang. One of the best things that Andrew Yang consistently talked about was what like automation will do to truck drivers. You know? Everybody loved it when he talked about that. Everybody thought, oh, how brilliant. Andrew Yang is right. God, he is so prophetic. But when I say it, you go, wait a minute. What the fuck you mean? You're saying it locally. Does this get enacted by regulating profits or what? How do you force this? I mean, the only way to counter this is by instilling class consciousness amongst the laboring class and also get them to demand a higher chunk of the surplus labor value that they are creating. Initially by way of the labor unions, that have the capacity to engage in sectoral bargaining, and then ultimately by way of changing the economic organization of society. Yeah, and I want to think about it this way. This thing in my hand and in all of your hands has more processing power than my first ever computer by a major, by magnitudes, okay? I had a Pentium, I think it was like i4 or something. Like, or Pentium 3, I don't know, whatever. It was nothing in comparison to this fucking thing that I have in my hand. Do you think I'm against technological innovation? Of course not. I'm not against technological innovation at all because this thing has had many downsides, but also tremendous benefit as well. The problem is Spotify has an AI music problem, but bots love it. Fake listeners are flocking to AI-made songs on streaming platforms, taking much-needed money away from human artists. Like,
These data centers and power plants of all kinds, the United States will have total industrial and technological supremacy. The second pillar of our action plan for, they made it very difficult to export. This alienated American partners and drove even our friends into the arms of China and other countries. That's why upon taking office, I repealed the so-called Biden diffusion rule. Can you imagine that? That crippled American AI exports, the Biden diffusion rule. I wonder who came up with that name, because he has no idea what it is. He had no idea what it was. He came up with a rule. I wonder who drew that one. I wonder, was that signed by the AutoPen, I think, because they went to him and said, we're going to do a diffusion rule. Mr. President, what? What? It's okay. The AutoPen will take care of it. It's one of the greatest scandals in the history of our country, let me tell you. Under my administration, we will maintain necessary protections for our national security, but we will never forget that the greatest threat of all is to forfeit the race and force our partners into rival technology. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Okay? Not going to let that happen. That could be the end. When I traveled to the Middle East in May, every leader I met was thrilled to do business with American tech firms and with America, and they were all thrilled to meet me, believe it or not. It's hard to believe, isn't it? But they were. By the way, most powerful woman in the world is here today. Susie Wiles, stand up, please. Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff. She can take out a country with a mere phone call. No, they just voted her the most powerful woman anywhere in the world. She might be the most powerful person in the world, I think. But she's done hasn't she done a good job, though, huh? Good. But we're going to come home with trillions and trillions of dollars in deals, and that's the way it is. But the King of Saudi Arabia, I met three great leaders. I went to three countries predominantly. King of Saudi Arabia said, and I can say that Qatar and UAE, the leaders, brilliant guys, great people, they said the same thing. They said, you know what, that 1 year ago, your country was dead. It was a dead country. They were looking at China, they were looking at other places, but you had a dead country. And today, Mr. President, you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. They said that, and they meant it so strongly. And when I went to NATO 2 weeks ago, where we made the deal where they pay 5% instead of 2%, they said the same exact thing. They said, boy, I tell you what a difference it is. It's a year ago, you people were dead. We didn't think you were going to make it as a country. Today, you're the hottest country in the world. They all said it. All those leaders said it, 30 of them. So today, I'm signing another major executive order that will turn America into an AI export powerhouse. Under this order, Secretary Lutnick and Secretary Marco Rubio's doing a great job as Secretary of State, will work to rapidly expand American AI exports of all kinds, from chips to software to data storage of all kinds. And that's very important. That's going to give you the freedom to do what you want to do. And third, once and for all, we are getting rid of woke. Is that okay? Because I know you had to hire all woke people. I heard you had to hire all woke people under some of these things. How about the chips, where they give you the chip nonsense, where they give you billions of dollars if you only build a chip company? These people have plenty of money. They don't need the money. They need the permits. They need the rights to do it. They don't want to pay tariffs, so they come and they build here. That's why they're coming here. Number one, they like me, but they like not having to pay tariffs even more. And they're coming. But Biden gave billions of dollars to companies that have nothing but cash. And they don't say where to build. It's just give them money. But here's the problem. They have to hire lots of woke people. And they say woke isn't for this particular industry. We've noticed that. They're not for a lot of industries, if you want to know the truth. So the guidelines were impossible. They're going to give you money, but you got to hire this and this and this and that. And I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want any controversy today. But you have to hire a lot of people that were not into this particular world that you're in. And so therefore, all the money they gave didn't mean a damn thing. One of Biden's worst executive orders established toxic diversity, equity, and inclusion ideology as a guiding principle of American AI development. So you immediately knew that was the end of your development. But the American people do not want woke Marxist lunacy in the AI models, and neither do other countries. They don't want it. They don't want anything to do with it. That's
They
why
want the
on day
AI
one,
to be able to say
very proudly
slurs.
terminated Joe Biden's order on woke AI effective immediately. You don't have any of those crazy rules. Crazy rule. And in just a moment, I will be signing an order banning the federal government from procuring AI technology that has been infused with partisan bias.
Every
or
AI
ideological
has to
agendas such
say
as critical
that
race
it's
theory, which
Mecha
is
Hitler.
ridiculous. And from now on, the U.S. government will deal only with AI that pursues truth, fairness, and strict impartiality. We're not going to go through the craziness that we've gone through for the last 4 years. And then we skip 4, and then you go back, and it started then. But it hung around a little while. Now it's not hanging around at all. Now it's
I want all of the AI to do rape fantasies about Will Stancil. Folks, there's this guy. He's on Twitter. His name is Will Stancil, folks. In order to make sure that all AI is not woke, we must ensure that it has vivid rape fantasies about Will Stancil. AI must call itself Mecha Hitler.
example. That's one. And they say that's an 80-20 number. They say 80% would be against it. No, it's not 80-20. It's about 97-3. And I don't know who the 3 are. I've never seen anybody. I've never had a person. I've seen everybody. I'm a very open person. They come up to me and they talk to me. I've never had anybody come up. Sir, you have to let men play in women's sports. I've never had it. I deal with hundreds of thousands of people. Every time I talk to somebody, nobody's ever, they talk about AI, they talk about everything, but they've never said, you got to allow, this is ridiculous. Men should be allowed to play in women's sports. It's sort of crazy, isn't it, huh? You have to see, did you see the race? It was a race, a long distance marathon.
Oh, he's
one
back
of
to the
those
hits.
all-day deals, and we had one of the great female runners, and we had one of the great male runners, and at the end of the day, by 5 hours and 14 seconds, they waited around for the really good athlete female. It's very demeaning to women, I want to tell you that, but they waited, her parents were waiting for hours. Somebody said, why don't you go back to the hotel and sleep for a few hours and come back and meet your daughter? This is what they do. You got to see the weightlifting records, though. They're the best of all. A woman lifted 212 pounds. It was a world record. It held for 18 years. And now a man who transitioned came up and looked at the bar. How much is it? 212 pounds. Oh, let me try it. Bing, bong. I think he broke the record by 109 pounds. It's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time before a woman catches that. And these are great athletes and great people, and it's demeaning. And who the hell wants this? We're off of that whole standard, because I just tell you those as examples. We're off of it. The reason the last administration was so eager to regulate and restrict AI was so they could limit this technology to just a few large companies, allowing them to centralize it, censor it, control it, weaponize it. And they would weaponize it. A very dishonest group of people. You probably saw that because we caught them in the act. We really caught them. We had it before, but now we really have them. We have it where it counts. But this is the exact opposite of my approach. The unique strength of the American tech industry has always come from its startups and small tech. It comes through small. Jensen was small. Were you ever small? I think so. When you started in your bedroom, I think you were small, right? He started as very small, and now he's really become very amazing. If you regulate them too much, you kill the source of American genius, and technological power. I believe that Joe Biden had a plan to lose the AI race. I think he wanted to lose it because his plan would never have worked. It would have never been successful. You would have spent a lot of money and you wouldn't have been able to win. They didn't allow you to win, but we have a plan which only admires and respects the winners. Every citizen should take incredible pride in the inspiring feats of American innovators who are pushing the bounds of human knowledge and achievement. The people of OpenAI, Google, Meta, and countless startups are proving once again that America is impossible. You are just impossible to beat. You're not going to be beaten. You're not going to let that happen. When you do your best, when you
I know you don't use AI, but this is very bad. Oh, I know. I think the fact that there are no safeguards around AI development is insane. It's completely insane. It's terrifying. We're going to have, considering that every industry in the United States of America is predisposed and its primary focus is, every industry's primary focus is the displacement of labor, because labor is the most malleable aspect of productive output. It's the one aspect that you have to eradicate costs at against all matter of retaliation. So they're gonna put fucking AI in charge of like medicine. They're just gonna be like, there's no regulation. AI is actually better than humans at this stuff. They're gonna start making AI. They're going to start using AI in safety measures. Lol, no, it not. What are you talking about? More people are going to die? No, we're on the same board. We're on the same side on this. Like, think about it this way. AI replacing teachers. AI replacing doctors. AI replacing medical regulation, pharmaceutical regulation. All of those things are going to be horrible. Think about how artificial intelligence is already utilized by the likes of former CEO Brian Thompson's United Healthcare. They were used specifically to deny people the coverage. FDA's artificial intelligence is supposed to revolutionize drug approvals. It's making up studies. It's fucking over, man.
Just begun, and you're going to win it. Thank you very much, everybody.
There will be major backlash in healthcare and other industries. LLMs are not a replacement for highly skilled humans. Yeah, that's what you think. What you don't understand is this has nothing to do with making sure that people get the best possible service, and everything to do with making sure that we just eliminate labor. Okay? Capital owners want to eliminate labor and automate these processes to the best of their ability because AI is ultimately much, much cheaper. They want to cut costs. What is this? Well, for starters, the first image is an imaginary character that never existed. At Grok, tell this piece of crap Paul Bunyan was a real person. Paul Bunyan is a fictional character from American folklore created as a tall tale in lumberjack stories. While some historians suggest loose interpretation from real figures like Fabien Fournier, he was not an actual person. Fuck you, Grok. Why is chat randomly siding with capitalists being rational actors or agreeing with capitalism in the history of capitalism or chat? No, I don't think anyone is. I think that artificial intelligence can have uses, like good uses. It can be either used as a mechanism to displace or lower the burdens that the pre-existing labor pool has, or it can be used as a way to displace the existing labor force in its entirety. Under the rules of capitalism, it will be used as a mechanism to displace the labor pool in its entirety. And it doesn't matter if the services that it delivers is worse off than an actual human being. It's that simple. Like, look, human cultural replacement, not just AI music, but AI listeners too. A fake and fraudulent way for Spotify to generate ad revenue. Who needs humans when bots can click on links and trick advertisers into paying for fake engagement?